Hello, everyone. My name is Brendan Marr. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator. And welcome to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. Today, I would like to briefly give you my 5 favorite lightsaber fights, or lightsaber duels, I should say, in the Star Wars movies. These have to be where the lightsabers actually clash. So the throne room scene in The Last Jedi doesn't count, unfortunately, as that is one of my favorite scenes involving lightsabers. So with those ground rules out of the way, let's dig in. My number 5 favorite lightsaber fight is Anakin versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar. This is the lightsaber fight that for years we'd heard about and speculated about and finally got to see it. The duel on Mustafar is a little over the top. Actually, who am I kidding? It's a lot over the top. And it's just very big and very bold, and there's a little bit of silly CG. A lot of CG. And some parts of it are quite silly. But I think in general, this fight is brilliant because of the emotion behind it. Also the fact that it's cross-cut with the duel in the Senate chamber. The scene is cutting back and forth between Anakin and Obi-Wan's lightsaber fight and Yoda fighting Palpatine in the Senate chamber, while using the Duel of the Fates music and the Battle of the Heroes theme that was composed for Revenge of the Sith. You know, surprisingly, I think that the fight actually, for the most part, pays off. There was a lot riding on that fight. We all knew that that's where the prequel trilogy was headed. And I'd say it delivered. Anakin being burned is a particularly disturbing image on a Star Wars film. So you can see why this is the first Star Wars film to receive a PG-13 rating. You do feel the heartbreak. You feel the emotion of Obi-Wan is absolutely heartbroken that he has to do this. And for once, I think that some of the emotion is actually there. So I'd say that for all of the buildup, it paid off. I'd say it was worth the wait. So, the duel on Mustafar, my number 5. Number 4, the emergence of the Sith, I'll call it. The duel on Tatooine. The revelation of the Sith, I suppose we should call it. This is the very brief lightsaber fight between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn. As Qui-Gon and Anakin are heading to the Queen's starship to leave Tatooine, Darth Maul, who has pursued them, comes rushing in on his speeder bike and leaps off and immediately engages Qui-Gon in a duel. For the first time in 1,000 years, revealing the Sith to the galaxy. As Anakin runs to the starship, we get a short and sweet lightsaber duel. The music here is extraordinary. It's Qui-Gon's theme, which is not a musical theme that is as well known. But I would say go back and watch that duel on Tatooine and listen to the music. The music is epic, the music is ancient, the music is, I have a book called Inside the Worlds of Episode 1, which is one of the Star Wars guidebooks to the planets of the Phantom Menace. Every time I read it, this music runs through my head. The music is great, the fight is great, and the fact that this is the revelation of the Sith after 1,000 years only adds to the depth of the situation. And of course, featuring two of my favorite characters fighting. So everything kind of adds together. The subtext, the fight itself, the music, it makes for a great package. So number 4, the duel on Tatooine. Number 3, the duel on the second Death Star. This is the climactic duel between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Luke, sensing the good in his father, has rushed to try to turn him back to the light. That fails, and Vader brings Luke before the Emperor. The Emperor goads Luke into a fight with Vader. And the lightsaber duel is quite good. Yet again, there's a lot of emotion behind it. It's really the subtext of what's going on beneath the surface, as well as what's going on the surface. This also leads us to Luke giving into his anger and nearly killing his father, only to have him reject the darkness that almost consumed him. Luke faced a great test in that moment and passed it. And said, "You failed, Your Highness. I'm a Jedi like my father before me." An epic moment, capped off by, I think, the best way they could have ended it. And that is the Emperor using his lightning on Luke, only to have Darth Vader, out of love for his son, reject Vader and become Anakin and defeat the Emperor. There's so much going on. Also, the fact that this fight is taking place during the Battle of Endor, the battle on the ground, the battle in space. There's a lot going on during this whole sequence, and it's brilliantly done. So my number 3, the duel on the second Death Star. Number 2, duel on Cloud City. Luke goes to try to rescue his friends on Cloud City, having been lured there without his knowledge. Vader wanted to torment Luke's companions so that Luke would come to Cloud City. And it happened. Luke came and tried to fight Vader. Vader was attempting to carbon freeze Luke to take him to the Emperor. Luke proved a little bit harder to defeat than that. But the lightsaber duel that ensues is brilliant. Now, usually I talk about the great use of music during lightsaber duels. Here is a lightsaber duel that uses barely any music, and yet it is still able to create that effective tension. The only time it uses music is when Vader uses telekinesis to throw objects at Luke. There's a lot of great imagery in this fight, and of course, this ends with the greatest revelation in movie history. No, I am your father. Which is just astonishingly good. The choreography is simple, straightforward, but very good. The tension in the scene is great. And once we know the revelation of of the fact that Darth Vader is Luke's father, really adds another layer of subtext to the scene. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the best duel in the original trilogy. So that's my number 2, the duel on Cloud City. Number 1, Duel of the Fates. The duel in the Naboo hangar. But we'll call it Duel of the Fates. Where do I begin with this one? Now, yes, the fight choreography may be a little too choreographed, perhaps, but it's brilliant. It's a great fight to watch. There's a lot going on with the high stakes for the rest of the galaxy. This, of course, leads us to the death of Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan really having his moment to shine in a lightsaber fight. The music. Duel of the Fates is one of the greatest pieces of Star Wars music there is. In fact, it may be the greatest piece from the prequels. And that's saying something, because the prequels have fantastic music. This is also cross-cutting with the battle. Battle in space, battle on the surface. Those parts aren't nearly as interesting, but the duel itself is fantastic. The use of music, the choreography, the subtext, the impractical architecture. And this is just marvelous. And you can see why Duel of the Fates ended up being a music video that got played on Total Request Live, which I believe is like the first and maybe only classical piece to ever have a music video be that big of a hit. So, Duel of the Fates is an astonishing sequence, which of course revealed the double-bladed lightsaber, and everybody lost their collective minds. So that, Duel of the Fates, is my number 1. So let's recap. Number 5, Duel on Mustafar. Number 4, Duel on Tatooine. Number 3, Duel of the Second Death Star. Number 2, Duel on Cloud City. And number 1, Duel of the Fates. Let me know what yours are. My name is Brennan Marr. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator. And thank you for tuning in to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. May the Force be with you.